The sun was setting low, painting the sky in shades of crimson and gold across the lonely Texas plains. A rancher named Ethan Cole walked slowly, a heavy sack slung across his shoulder, dust rising under his boots. He had spent the whole day working under the burning sun, fixing fences, carrying supplies, and moving his cattle closer to the river. His body was tired, but his mind was calm, until he heard something faint, something that made him freeze in his tracks. From the direction of an abandoned barn came a whisper, soft, trembling, almost broken. "Please, cover me." Ethan's heart thudded once, and the sack slipped from his shoulder, hitting the ground with a dull thump. Slowly, cautiously, he stepped forward, pushing the barn door open with his rough, calloused hand. Inside, he saw a woman lying against a pile of old hay. Her dress was torn, her skin pale and bruised, and her eyes wide with desperation. She looked up at him with fear, yet also with hope. Without a word, Ethan took off his weathered coat and gently laid it over her trembling body. She clutched it close as if it was the only shield left between her and the world. "Who did this to you?" Ethan asked in a low voice, his eyes sharp and serious. The woman hesitated, her lips trembling, then she whispered, "They'll find me. If I speak, they'll kill me." Before Ethan could ask further, the sound of distant hooves echoed through the dry evening air. The woman's eyes widened in terror. She grabbed his arm, her grip surprisingly strong for someone so weak. "They're here," she whispered. Ethan moved to the crack of the barn wall and peered outside. 3 riders were approaching, their faces hidden beneath wide-brimmed hats, rifles slung over their shoulders. The woman's whisper broke the silence again. "The Dawson gang, they're my blood, my family once. But I escaped, after what they did in Tombstone." Ethan clenched his jaw. He had heard of the Dawson gang, known across the territories for ruthless killings, robberies, and a trail of blood left behind. And now they were hunting this woman. The riders searched the area, their voices harsh, their laughter cruel. Ethan stayed silent, his hand on the revolver at his side, ready if they came too close. The woman pressed herself against him, trembling, and in that moment Ethan felt something he hadn't felt in years, someone depending on him, someone needing his protection. That night, after the riders moved on, Ethan carried the woman to his small cabin far out on the plains. He gave her food, water, and warmth. She sat by the fire, still clutching his coat. Her name, she finally revealed, was Clara Dawson. Though she carried the Dawson bloodline, she wanted nothing more than to escape it. Her voice cracked as she said, "I wasn't just running from them. I was carrying something they wanted, something that could destroy them." From under her torn dress she pulled out a small leather journal. Ethan took it carefully, opening its worn pages. Inside were names, locations, deals, and bloody accounts of the Dawson gang's crimes. If this reached the marshal, the gang would be finished, every last one of them hanging at sunrise. Ethan's eyes narrowed. Now he knew why they hunted her so desperately. Protecting her meant signing his own death warrant. Days passed with Clara hiding in Ethan's cabin. Each day, the sound of riders came closer, the Dawson gang searching every hill, every creek bed, every abandoned shack. Ethan worked silently, preparing his rifles, setting traps along the paths, knowing the fight was coming. And every night, Clara whispered softly to him, "Please, cover me," her words meaning more than warmth or clothes. She was asking him to cover her soul, her fear, her fragile hope. Ethan, a man who had once lived with nothing but cattle and silence, began to feel alive again. He had buried his heart long ago after losing his family in a raid, but Clara's presence brought something back. She gave him a reason to stand, a reason to fight. Then, one morning, the thunder of hooves shook the ground. The Dawson gang had found them. Clara's breath caught, tears filling her eyes. Ethan loaded his rifle, his voice steady, "Stay inside. Whatever happens, don't come out." The gang charged across the open plain, rifles raised, their shouts echoing through the valley. Ethan stood tall on his porch, a single man against an army. The first shot cracked like lightning, echoing across the ranch. Then came another, and another. Bullets tore through wood, dust exploded into the air, and blood stained the dirt. Ethan fought like a man with nothing to lose, each shot finding its mark, each movement fierce and unyielding. But the gang was relentless. They circled, firing, closing in. Ethan felt a burning pain across his side as a bullet grazed him, but he did not stop. His revolver barked fire and death, his rifle spat thunder. Clara, inside, pressed her hands over her mouth to stifle her cries, praying he would survive. When the dust finally settled, bodies lay scattered across the ranch yard. The Dawson gang, once feared, now broken. Ethan stood in the middle, breathing heavy, blood staining his shirt. His strength faltered, and he collapsed to his knees. Clara rushed out, kneeling beside him, pressing her hands against his wound, tears streaming down her face. "You saved me," she whispered, her voice breaking. Ethan looked at her, his eyes tired but steady, and he whispered back, "No, you gave me a reason to live again." Soon after, the marshal and his men arrived, having followed the sound of the battle. Clara handed him the journal, her hands trembling. The marshal's eyes widened as he read the names and crimes. "This will hang every last one of them," he said firmly. The Dawson name would be finished forever. Ethan, though wounded, survived. Clara stayed by his side, nursing him back to strength. In time, they rode together across the wide plains, not as fugitives or broken souls, but as two people who had found hope in each other. The West was still wild, still dangerous, but together, they faced it with courage. And always, in Ethan's heart, lingered the whisper that had changed everything, the whisper that had turned a lonely rancher into a protector, a fighter, and a man reborn. "Please, cover me."